Have you ever dreamed of running a sub-3 hour marathon? That elusive 2:59 mark, that holy grail for a lot of runners, that 2:59 mark, 6:52 per mile or 4:15 per kilometer. It seems out of reach for many runners. I totally get it. But I am here to tell you that it is completely achievable with the right approach. My name is Nick, and I have personally gone from struggling and plateauing. I ran a 4:0 something for my first marathon. I cried for the last 10K. I actually have a picture of me crying as I crossed the line. I had to call my wife in tears. To now, I have a PB of not just 2:59, but my current PB stands at 2:52. And in just 10 days from now, I am going to be trying to go for a 2:35 at the London Marathon at 43 years of age. Well, nearly 43. I'm overdoing my age here a little bit, 42, but I'm nearly 43, and I am going to be going for that 2:35. I used to be a smoker. I used to be overweight. I'm not particularly skinny now, but with the right training, it is possible. So today, I am going to be sharing that exact training approach that I use myself and with runners aiming for that sub-3 barrier. So whether you're stuck at 3:15 or 3:05, or you're just starting to seriously chase faster times, or even just wondering if this is for you, then this video will give you a clear roadmap to level up your marathon performance. And this goes for most runners, but I find it is particularly prevalent with faster runners, people who do start to see their times on Strava starting to get a little bit quicker right across the board. So tip number one, slow the fuck down, especially on your easy runs. One of the biggest mistakes that runners make in pursuit of faster marathons is pushing too hard on their easy days. It does sound counterintuitive. Trust me, I get it. I do get it. You know, you're feeling good, you want to push it, but running too quickly on your easy runs, your recovery runs, can and will hinder your improvement. It does increase your injury risk, and it will mean that you're not going to be as fresh for when the time comes to run fast. Your easy runs should be they should truly feel comfortable. And we're talking, I don't like giving paces because, you know what, sometimes it might be around 60 to 90 seconds per mile slower than your marathon goal pace. But other days, you know, you might need to really slow it down. It might be that you are a little bit fatigued from the day before. Maybe you didn't sleep so well, and you do need to slow it down a lot more. So yeah, I don't like to give paces too much, but certainly keep it. It should feel easy, not a pace. It should feel easy. But anyway, this slower pace, this slower effort, it builds essential aerobic endurance. It helps manage training fatigue so that you're fresher for your sessions that are coming up. It reduces your injury risk, and it does set the foundation for everything else, for effective recovery, to be able to run faster when it does come to the time. And that patience and discipline to slow down today, it will yield significant benefits on race day itself. So number two, give yourself enough time to train. Ambitious goals like a sub-3 marathon require patience and a realistic timeline. It's not realistic or sustainable to attempt a drastic improvement, such as, you know, maybe right now you're in 3:30-ish shape. To go into a sub-3 in just a few weeks or even a couple of months, instead, give yourself 6 to 12 months, I think, is probably a good basis to at least work through those different phases of a structured and consistent training program that is going to develop your fitness gradually and it correctly, quite frankly. There's no other way of explaining it, but it is correctly. And that extended period is going to allow your body to go through those different phases, go through periodization, have down weeks where you are able to recover and adapt to the training that you've been doing, because we don't get better during training, we get better during recovery. It's going to build a solid base, it's going to hopefully reduce that injury risk, and it is going to lead to lasting performance gains. Great marathon performances are built slowly and steadily, they are not rushed. Section number 3, strength training for me is a non-negotiable. If you want to be able to run a faster marathon, you are going to need to knuckle down on strength training. And strength training is often overlooked by marathoners, but it is absolutely crucial for not just achieving peak performance, but also there is compelling evidence coming out now very new evidence, in fact, by the University of Loughborough. Dr. Richard Blagrove and his colleagues at Loughborough University have basically proven that strength training not only helps with things that we already know about, like building VO2 max, running efficiency, economy, all that kind of thing, but it also helps with muscular endurance through fatigue resistance, or durability, as we call it. So that final few miles where everybody talks about the wall. We know that fueling, which I'll talk about in a minute, fueling is going to help, but also strength training is going to help you in those final miles as well. It is going to reduce the amount of fatigue that you are going to feel in those final miles. So focus on compound movements such as squats, deadlifts, lunges, core exercises that are going to strengthen your key running muscles and just turn you into a more resilient athlete. They're going to stabilize your stride. They're going to contribute to neuromuscular adaptations. And they're going to help maintain, as I said, maintain that form in the latter stages of the marathon when fatigue starts to set in. So incorporating strength training can often be the difference maker in achieving that elusive sub-3. And honestly, I can attest to that as an N of 1, which we just don't do in the science world, but as an N of 1, I absolutely put my marathon performances down to that strength training. Yes, all of the running is super important, but that strength training is what has helped me achieve sub-3s, and I've seen it happen with the athletes that I coach too. Tip number 4, fuel your runs properly. If I see another comment on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok about, I run fasted and I only run with water. Well, that's good for you, but actually, if you fueled yourself, just imagine how much faster you could be. Imagine how much quicker, not you're just going to run, but you're going to recover, so that when you do come to your next training session, you're in a much better place, because we know that carbohydrate ingestion pre, during, and after exercise helps massively with recovery. So fueling correctly during marathon training, it is critical to both performance and recovery. And many runners do mistakenly believe that they should minimize fueling during training to enhance race day performance, and that is counterproductive. It's astonishing how much I see that. People still are on the low carb or fasting bandwagon, and time again, it is proven wrong. And if one of you is watching it and you want to argue with me about it, I will happily send you all of the studies in the world that are basically saying that low carb, fasted, it just doesn't work. We don't become more fat adapted by not eating carbohydrates. We become more fat adapted by training more at a lower intensity, and that's where those easy runs come in. So practicing effective fueling strategies during your training runs, particularly your long runs and your key workouts as well. These help your body balance race day nutrition effectively. They boost performance during the sessions themselves. They enhance that recovery afterwards, which allows you to then run more afterwards and throughout the weeks. It prevents energy crashes or hitting the wall during the marathon itself. Now, we hear a lot about that wall. If you're going for a sub-3, then you should be a fairly knowledgeable runner to know that the wall is not, we don't hit the wall because we haven't done enough training. We hit the wall because we're not fueling enough. Another study that has actually come out very, very recently shows that people are more likely to hit a sub-3 marathon if they are ingesting 60 to 90 grams of carbohydrate per hour of running on race day. But you need to practice that during your longer runs, experiment during training, and find that approach that works best for you. Tip number 5, it is not just about doing more miles. Again, if I had £1 for every time I saw on there's a Facebook group called the Sub-3 Marathon, very inventive. The amount of times people will comment on there saying, I'm trying to achieve that Sub-3, and the amount of comments that they will get saying, just train more. You need to do more. You're not doing enough miles. You need to be training, 100, 120K, 150K a week. And that, for us mere mortals, just isn't possible. Between kids and jobs and, partners and pets and all that kind of thing, simply adding mileage without structure or purpose often leads to things like burnout, injury, and sometimes diminishing returns. It might actually make you worse. So you need to think about what you're able to do within the confines of your life, and make it effective. Effective marathon preparation emphasizes quality over quantity. Your training schedule should include focused workouts that are specific to not just the marathon itself, but specific to what you're trying to achieve now. So, if you don't have the pace, for example, over a 5K, 10K to be able to carry into that longer distance, you're talking about 12, 16, 20 weeks away from the marathon itself. You need to be doing those kind of workouts. You need to be doing 5K, 10K focused intervals. Get faster over those shorter distances so that you carry your speed into the longer efforts as you start to progress through your marathon training program. Well structured long runs as well. When you do start getting to marathon day, you want to be thinking about integrating marathon pace runs, marathon pace intervals within your marathon pace long runs, your marathon long runs. So I tend to start dropping those in to my training and the people I work with. Around about 8 weeks out, we'll start integrating in marathon paced intervals amongst easy running. So, we progress from those long easy runs into marathon paced intervals. I usually start off with things like a quarter of a mile at marathon pace, 3/4 of a mile at easy, zone 1, zone 2. And then as the weeks go on, those blocks of marathon pace will get longer. I might drop them down I might take them up rather from, splits of a mile into splits of, in fact, one of my favorite sessions, in fact, I did this on the weekend myself, was it's 6K, 5K, 4K, 3K, 2K, 1K, with the 2K and the 1K, if you can, slightly faster than marathon pace. Cracking session. And there are so many of them out there that we can do, but they should be specific to the marathon itself, but also where you are in your training program. If there are things that you need to work on, if your VO2 max needs raising, let's get out there and do some 3, 4, 5 minute hard intervals at the beginning of the program. So each session should have that specific goal: building speed, enhancing endurance, or increasing race specific fitness. By prioritizing that smart training and structuring your weekly mileage strategically around the confines of your life and what you're able to do, you can maximize performance without the unnecessary wear and tear of having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Another thing I see on these Facebook groups all the time, how do I fit in more mileage? Or we'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. No, not at the expense of sleep. Let's have a look at your life. What can you do within the confines of your life? Let's maximize that time that you have available. And finally, body composition matters. It really does. And I know this is a sensitive subject, so please, I'll give you a warning now. If this section is not for you, if you do have any kind of eating disorders or disordered eating, then work with a dietitian on this, or please feel free to stop watching at this point. But because this is a sensitive subject, and it is one that I will be sensitive to as well, because I said at the beginning, I'm not the smallest guy in the world. Body composition does matter, and it can significantly influence marathon performance. Generally speaking, a leaner, not lean, but a leaner physique does translate into faster running times due to improved efficiency, reduced load on your muscles and joints, and the plyometric nature of our tendons allowing us to spring off quicker, that weight to power ratio. However, it is essential to approach weight management with caution and prioritize your health above all else. Avoid very restrictive diets, fasting for days on end, all of that stuff, excessive caloric deficits. That stuff could lead to something called relative energy deficiency in sports, or RED-S, or negatively impacts recovery and overall health, especially in women, not exclusively in women, but especially in women. It can lead to all kinds of hormonal imbalances, weakening of the bones. You name it, it's not worth it. So if you are going to take an approach to losing weight and losing body fat, I think that's a really important thing to say here, is that it's not just about losing weight, it's about losing body fat. And body composition is very, very different to body weight. So whilst I'll come on to myself in a second. So anyway, instead, what you want to be doing is focusing on a balanced, nutrient-rich diet coupled with appropriate training that is going to naturally optimize your body composition in a healthy and sustainable manner. And if you are looking for more guidance on this, do work with a nutritionist, do work with perhaps a nutrition coach, because actually training for a marathon is a really bad time to be losing weight. So if you are going to be undertaking, the opportunity to recomp for the goal of hitting a sub-3 marathon, because, running with excess fat is going to make it harder. However, don't go too crazy. I am not the smallest guy in the world. My personal situation was that I weighed roughly around about 72 kilos the first time I ran a sub-3. I am now 82 kilos, going into London, looking for a 235. And whilst I'm heavier, what I have done is I have put on more muscle in those years. So I would always approach body composition with the view of how can you make yourself stronger through better choices with your diet. It's not just about getting smaller. The weight on the scale means fuck all, quite frankly. What matters is how strong you are, how well trained you are, and what your body composition is. I am definitely more muscular. I'm definitely more powerful, but it does matter. I do think that it's best to be honest with this kind of thing, that the body composition does matter. You are not going to, or you're going to find it very difficult to achieve a sub-3 marathon if you are overweight. So it is something that is worth thinking about. So there we go. Breaking 3 hours is not about pushing your limits recklessly. It is about intelligently balancing your training, intensity, volume, recovery, nutrition. This comprehensive approach is going to ensure sustainable progress. It's going to ensure peak performance when it matters, and is also going to help you with long-term health. Because another thing that lots and lots of miles for us mere mortals may well end up doing is shortening your running career. And whilst you want to achieve that sub-3, is it worth not being able to run in when you're 50 years old? Because I don't think it is. So there we go. If you are ready to finally break through that sub-3 barrier like I have, and many people that I've coached, then if you are serious about achieving your marathon potential and you want a personalized approach developed for you, personalized support developed for you, then send me a DM on Instagram with the word RUN, RUN. I'm sure you know how to spell that. And let's get started.